There are many events in the Hindu mythology which still elude logical explanation or historic validation. One of such accounts is the identity of Asuras, evil characters in the Hindu mythology. While the names of cities and kingdoms ruled by Asuras are mentioned in the Hindu scriptures, we cannot locate their current geographies. After it was found that Harappan cities were populated with people of dark complexion and that Ravana's kingdom Lanka existed in the south, some people began to identify Asuras with Dravidians and Devasura Yuddhas with Aryan-Dravidian battles. This video tries to demystify Asuras and their identity while digging out the past of the Hindu religion. Sources that we have depended on for this study, due to the lack of proper historical records, are religious texts, geographical markers, topographical evidence, and contemporary foreign records. Kingship between devas and asuras. Before embarking on our analysis, we need to understand the meaning and definition of devas and asuras. Etymological meaning of deva is the shining person. The word div is to shine. It cognates with Greek dios, divine, Latin dos, god, and devos in Old Latin. Asura etymologically means lord, powerful spirit, god. Asir in Old German and Scandinavian, and Asera or Asira of Proto-Uralic languages. The oldest books that have references to devas and asuras are Hindu scripture Rig Veda and pre-Zoroastrian text Avesta in Iran. Both these were dated between 2000 BC and 1000 BC. However, the attributes given by both the texts to devas and asuras were contradictory. While the Rig Veda depicts asuras as evil forces and devas as gods, their descriptions get swapped in Avesta. When the etymological meaning of both the words deva and asura are almost same, why is it that Rig Veda and Avesta speak about them differently? What made them give contradictory meanings to these words? Let's probe into it. At the outset, people living in pre-Zoroastrian Iran and ancient India had many things in common as they traced a common ancestry. Both societies worshipped natural gods and claimed to be the Aryans. In fact, the word Iran is derived from Aryan. Socially, both communities were divided on the basis of occupations or what we call in India the castes. Iran was divided into three castes: priests, Arthvan, fighters, Radeshwars, and cattle breeders, Vastrayosh. The fourth class, Hatoksha, was created for their followers. This is similar to the Rig Vedic division of labor, which are Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. Their languages had many common or similar sounding words except that Sanskrit's sa becomes ha in Avesta. Therefore, Asura in Sanskrit is pronounced Ahura in the Avesta. In the Avestan language, Saina was called Hana, Sapta became Hapta, a week, which later became Hafta and Urdu's Hafta. Hiranya, gold, in Sanskrit is Zranya, Zihva, tongue, is Hijva, Soma, a ritual drink, is Homa, and Yajna, sacrifice, is Yasna. According to Encyclopedia Iranica, the old Iranian high god was historically identical with Varuna of the Rig Veda. He is sometimes referred to along with Mitra in the form of a dual god. But he had no proper name as he was simply referred to as Ahura or Ahura Mazda. Ahura means Asura and Mazda is Mahda or Maha, supreme. So he is a Maha Asura or the great god. Similarly, Varuna appears to be the most powerful god in the Rig Veda before the advent of Indra. In the initial parts of the Rig Veda, some of these nature gods are called Asuras, who were later referred to devas. According to chapter 4, verse 42 of the Rig Veda, Varuna declares that I, Varuna, am the king. First for me were appointed the dignities of Asura. I let the dripping waters rise up. Through Rita I uphold the sky. Similarities between two communities cannot be coincidental. Experts suggest that all Aryan tribes were living together before the compilation of the Rig Veda or the Avesta in the eastern part of Iran. The lineage of both devas and asuras could be traced back to Prajapati, according to mythology. This makes them distant cousins, and hence the similarities. So why did they part ways and end up as enemies? The drift appears to have been caused by ideology. An analysis of the Rig Vedic verses shows that Varuna was given immense importance during the initial parts of the Rig Veda. But he gradually lost his importance in the pantheon of gods in the Vedic religion. In the Avesta, on the other hand, Ahura, Varuna, consolidated his clout to an extent that he became the most powerful god, or Ahura Mazda. According to Neeraj C. Chaudhuri, there survives in our texts a vague memory that the quarrel may also have been over a question of religion and beliefs. The Aryans who left Iran may have felt that the majority of their people were taking a disquieting orientation, especially in religious matters, a change of outlook to the jealous and intolerant Semitic single god. While the study of the Indo-Iranian religion, which existed before Zoroastrianism, does not give us any hint of people shifting to single god philosophy, we can witness the divergence of philosophy among ancient Indians and ancient Iranians. Zarathustra, the native name of Zoroaster, is believed to have created a duality in the pantheon of gods, as he believed that gods cannot do shameful acts. This created two classes, Ahura Mazda, meaning the supreme god, and his followers, and Andromenus, meaning those of the destroying mind. The Rig Veda, however, makes no such distinction. So the bone of contention must have been ideology. The stories of Asuras in the Hindu mythology also claim that most Asuras did not believe in several gods and they worshipped mostly Shiva. While there is no reference to Shiva being worshipped in the Indo-Iranian religion, the information in the Hindu mythology corroborates the philosophical divergence between devas and asuras. This difference of opinion about religion and ideology must have led to a fight amongst the Indo-Iranian tribes and Hindus, the believers in the old school of thought, who were expelled from Iran. After the expulsion, Hindus migrated eastwards, crossing the Hindu Kush. Some Hindu scriptures blame Asuraguru Shukracharya for inciting Asuras to leave their traditional way. The key person, who is believed to have reformed the Aryan religion in ancient Iran, is said to be Zarathustra. So is he the same Shukracharya? Frankly, we don't know for sure. If we were to believe that Zarathustra is Shukracharya, then the former should have lived before the Rig Veda was compiled. We can place him in that period if we go by the historical dating of Zarathustra on the basis of language used in Gathas, which is similar to the Rig Veda. This makes the theory about religious reforms being the key cause for the expulsion of Indic Aryans from Iran plausible. Corroborative evidence in Hindu epics. Hindu scriptures talk about constant fights between Asuras and Devas. This cannot be true if there is huge physical distance or great barrier between two rivals. So this precondition rules out the possibility of South India being the home of Asuras, as there was no way Asuras could travel from the south crossing the impregnable Dandakaranya and Vindhyas mountains to attack Devas in the north. However, this seems to be possible if we were to assume that Asuras were in Iran attacking expelled Devas who were settled on the eastern side of the Hindu Kush in Afghanistan. Since we don't have proper historical records of Indian kings, we either have to look for clues from foreign accounts or try to decipher information from mythology. In the context of Asuras, the mythological tales of Lord Vishnu avatars might be of some help. The first two incarnations, Matsya and Kurma, do not have any fight with Asuras. So we will not consider these two avatars for our analysis. The subsequent three avatars like Varha, Narsimha and Vaman, however, have instances of devas fighting asuras. Interestingly, demons killed by the three Avatara Purushas were from the same family. Varha killed Hiranyaksha, Narsimha slain Hiranyakashipu, the younger brother of Hiranyaksha, and Vaman overpowered Bali, the great-grandson of Hiranyakashipu. This shows Asuras were led by one family in the Devasura battles. So it is quite obvious to presume that all three Asura kings were from a particular kingdom, whose name and geographical location we do not know. In the Rama Avatara, the storyline changes with clear geography. Unlike other previous avatars, Rama lived like a human. He did not exhibit any supernatural powers like the earlier avatars. However, anti-hero in this story, Ravana, is said to be feared by gods. So there is a marked transformation in the storytelling in this avatara. The tales involving Parashurama and Krishna have become closer to reality. There were no Asuras in these stories. And the anti-heroes of Mahabharata were also not feared by the devas. Among these demons, Ravana did not appear to have tried to rule the devas. So the rivalry between Asuras and devas appears to be particularly bitter during Varha and Narsimha avatars, as it was said that Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu had committed atrocities against people following the Vedic religion. Having found that all the three powerful demons were from one family and one kingdom, we must try to locate the geographical coordinates of their area. For this, we have to shortlist the reasons for enmity between two kingdoms, as this will help us to zero in on the broader area. Generally, rivalry exists only between two neighboring kingdoms, as they may have many unresolved issues among them. Otherwise, the rivalry should have been caused by economics. India, for example, would not consider Germany or Brazil as its main enemy. Going by this logic, Devas and Asuras must be living in close-by regions. If the Asuras were from ancient Iran, more precisely Eastern Iran, as we discussed earlier, the people who worshipped Devas must have been living in Afghanistan during the reign of Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu and Bali. The geographical indicators of Soma habitation also suggest that the Rig Veda might have been compiled in the Afghanistan region, Saraswati region. Therefore, we can deduce that the Devas or Indic Aryans were living in the areas around Afghanistan. The proximity between people who worship Devas and those calling themselves Asuras must have led to frequent attacks against Devas during the times of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Compared to this, the attacks of Asuras against Devas were on decline during the Rama Avatara. Though there were instances of Rakshasas attacking rishis during that time, Ravana did not try to unseat Indra and occupy Devas' land. Another key difference between the battles of those two periods was the motive. The wars waged during Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were ideological, while the primary trigger for Rama's fight with Ravana was abduction. Though there was a reference to a Devasura battle in the Ramayana when Devas believed to have sought the help of Rama's father Dashratha, it was a mere subplot in the whole epic. This suggests that during the Rama Avatara, the Indic Aryans have moved a little farther than Eastern Iran, reducing the intensity of their rivalry. During the times of Mahabharata and Krishna, there were almost no great demons threatening the existence of Devas or Indic Aryans. Simultaneously, the theatre of Mahabharata had shifted to the eastern side of the river Sindhu and on to the banks of the river Ganga. Was this migration away from Iran a reason for not having major Devasura battles in Mahabharata? Maybe. So therefore, the Asuras cannot be from southern India. Ravana and his territory. Ravana is considered to be an Asura from the priestly class. He is said to have ruled from Lanka. However, if Iran was the place of Asuras, then what explains Ravana ruling from Lanka, thousands of kilometers away from Iran? Did he migrate from Iran to settle down in Lanka? If yes, what is the corroborative evidence? Linguistics hold clues for this puzzle. The Indo-European languages, which share similar features, include a Western language, Sanskrit, Hindi, Sinhala, and all Northern and Eastern Indian languages. The Dravidian languages, however, belong to a different language tree. Typically, languages spread organically over hundreds of years of its existence. However, Sinhala did not appear to have spread gradually, as there was a huge wall of Dravidian languages separating two Indo-Aryan languages, Sanskrit-based languages and Sinhala. Some scholars think that there was also an early migration from northwestern India, and that the language spoken there may have been blended with the native language to form the Sinhala language, as mentioned in Newton Pinto's book A Short History of Sinhalese Literature and Nandadeva Vijayasekhara's book The Sinhalese. The development of a language in an isolated place, without it being used in its neighboring areas, is possible only if that territory was colonialized. For example, if the British did not colonize America, the English could not have reached the shores of North America. Mythology too concurs with this viewpoint. There are two versions in mythology that narrates how Ravana became the king of Lanka. According to one such story, Ravana, a son of a rishi and an Asura lady, had presided over the house-warming ceremony of the palace, which Lord Shiva got it built for his consort Parvati. However, after the ceremony, when Shiva asked Ravana as to what he wanted in fee, the Asura asked him the entire town. Another story claims that Kuber was Lanka's king. But Ravana dethroned him and captured the power. In either case, Ravana must have come from somewhere and brought his language along with him. So did Ravana come from ancient Iran. Therefore, he does not share his ethnicity with the Dravidians. Are Asuras and Rakshasas synonymous? Apart from the word Asura, another word that is found in the Hindu mythology is Rakshasa. While currently people use both words, Asura and Rakshasa, interchangeably, the original meaning, however, appear to be different. For example, this verse from the Rig Veda speaks glowingly about the Asuras for driving off Rakshasas and Yatudanas. May he, gold-handed Asura, kind leader, come hither to us with his help and favor. Driving off Rakshasas and Yatudanas, he, the god, is present, praised in hymns in the evening. Describing people called Dasas, who have been attacking the people, the Rig Veda says they did not praise Indra, nor press Soma, nor sing hymns. It continues to describe them as being dark-skinned and Anasa, which literally means noseless, flat-nosed. While Asuras of the Avesta did not praise Indra as they considered him to be a demon, they definitely were fond of Soma and used to sing hymns. And also the Asuras, who were of the Aryan lineage, were not flat-nosed. So the attackers who were referred to in this verse of the Rig Veda cannot be Asuras, who had blood relation with the devas. Now the question is who these flat-nosed and dark-skinned people are. Since the attacks happened in the northwest of the current India, these people cannot be the ancestors of those staying in South India. Another set of people who attacked the Rig Vedic people could be those from the Harappan towns, who used to have flat noses. The Rig Veda also says that devas had destroyed the dams of their enemies, thereby Indra getting the title of Vratranhan, the destroyer of dams. But unlike the Sumerians, there is no clear evidence of the Harappan towns widely using dams for irrigation. Since the Hindu mythology refers several times to Devasura battles, The battles must have been led by Asuras and devas and not somebody else. While it is possible that Asuras might have overpowered and recruited flat-nosed people from the Harappan towns into their army, the logistical part of doing this could be very difficult as the Devas territory, Afghanistan and maybe Central Asia separated the land of the Harappans, current Pakistan, and the Asuras, eastern Iran. However, we can find some clues from the areas which are located to the west of eastern Iran. A study of human skulls excavated at the Sumerian palace at Kish in Mesopotamia, Iraq, by British anthropologists Dudley Buxton and Talbot Rice found that the region connecting nose with forehead among Sumerians is not perfectly straight like the Aryans. The Sumerians are also known to be great builders, and they were the first to irrigate crops using dams, while the Aryans were pastoral for a long time. As the Aryans have migrated from Europe, they must have had a fairer complexion compared to the brown-skinned Sumerians. Since the Sumerians do not share the same culture as the Avestan or Rig Vedic people, they must not have praised Indra. While all these physical attributes could also apply to Harappans, I do not find it convincing to think that the Asuras were attacking the Rig Vedic people from the west and the Harappans from the east. I think it is more plausible to believe that the powerful Avestan kingdom subdued some of the Sumerian cities and drafted them into their army. And the combined force led by the Asuras attacked the Devas or the Rig Vedic people. This appears to be the reason for having people of different physical features in the Asura army. The popular description is that top generals are more Aryan-like, while the foot soldiers had non-Aryan features. Conclusion. It appears that the Aryan tribes had lived in eastern Iran for some time. Gradually, differences developed among the tribes about the religion and ideology. The pro-reform tribes expelled the conservative ones, who crossed across Hindu Kush and settled there. Thus began the battles between ancient Iranians and ancient Indians in a time where there existed no Iran and no India, which later defined India's borders as the south of Himalayas, including Hindu Kush in the west and Arakan in the east, and the north of ocean.
That's all for now. Please like, share and subscribe to Deccan Diaries for regular updates. Have a good day.